Welcome back to CMLL Monthly. As always, we will be starting off with going over the cards from the month. We aren't covering Puebla shows this month as they aren't on the official YouTube sub, which is what we focus on. There are places where you can find these Puebla uploads, and there is a Puebla television YouTube that uploads them on like a week delay, the Sunday after they initially aired on the Monday. I'll put a link to that YouTube channel below. They do not archive it though, so you do have to catch it live. I do think there are places you can find those Arena Pueblo shows archived, but again, we're not going to go over those since they're not on the official YouTube. We start by doing the first show of the month, which is the Saturday, June 1st Arena Mexico Coliseo show. That had Catalina versus Tessa in a lightning match. Otherwise, the normal mix of matches. The main event is another big draw with Atlantis Jr. and Mascara Dorada versus Gran Guerrero and Stukas Jr. from Los Guerreros Laguneros. The June 4th show, in both Arena Mexico and Arena Coliseo Guadalajara, has two women's lightning matches. Catalina again, but this time versus Reina Isis in Arena Mexico, while Guadalajara gets Kira versus Persephone. The rest of those two shows are pretty normal matches. Other highlight would be Los Guerreros Laguneros main eventing Arena Mexico. The first Friday show of the month on the 7th has Magnus versus Mistico, which has spilled over from their feud of the last 2 weeks of the Friday shows. Cranio has been AWOL on Friday shows since December of 2023, so it's nice to see him again versus Villanos. This is actually a first for Cranio on a Friday. He has not faced the Villanos at all in Arena Mexico until this match. The Zulha opening is fun versus Disturbio. He could have had worse dance partners, but Disturbio isn't too exciting either. You know, a real middle of the card guy who's not that impressive to beat or to have a competitive match with. Week 2 kicks off with another Saturday Arena Coliseo show on June 8th. Fugaz versus Filano in a lightning match on that card. We also got Villanos versus Panthers, which is always a crowd pleaser. And the main event is Hechicero and Barberos versus Flip, Volador, and Blue Panther. Not a bad Saturday show. Tuesday, June 11th's big match is Hechicero versus Blue Panther in Arena Mexico. That's really the match to catch from both shows. Hera and Olympia are on the Arena Mexico card too, and one of my favorite teams in CMLL right now. Guadalajara is top heavy with two good tag matches in the main, semi-main spots. Mistico and other big name Technico Teton versus Volador and Magnus of Los Depredadors, and Ultimo and Gran of Los Laguneros versus Averno and Euphoria of Los Infernals. That's a feud that's been going on basically all year, is Los Laguneros and Los Infernals butting heads. We'll see if that actually leads to anything like a hair match between Averno and Ultimo. You know, I could see that happening, but at the same time, they almost made it seem like that was happening last year, and then they didn't win to move on to the hair match at Anniversario. The Friday, June 14th show starts the tour of Bad Dude Tito, Che Kabara, and Michael Oku, who would also take part in the following Friday's Fantastica Mania card, which had some New Japan talents show up for that as well, but didn't show up as early as these three. Oku gets a big singles match here versus Templario, while Tito and Che team with Zandokan versus Flip, Star Jr., and Neon. The rest of the card is good with interesting matchups. Week 3 starts with June 15th Coliseo show, which has Michael Oku versus Volador Jr. in the main event, Los Barberos in the semi-main versus the touring Tito and Che Kabara. Rest of the card is pretty standard for a Saturday night. We get a special showing of the Sunday Night Arena Mexico show on June 16th because it hosted Copa Dinastias, which is an annual family tag team tournament. That's the main draw of this card for obvious reasons, but we also had a rare Micros Lightning match between Kimalito and Tengu. I love the tournament and have no doubt that one of the matches will make my top 10 when we get to the top 10 of the month. Glad CMLL aired it. As being on a Sunday show, there was some doubt that they would. I'm glad that they did. If they're going to do something special on a Sunday Arena Mexico show or a Monday Arena Puebla, I would like it if they do showcase that, even if it's just the tournament or the special event that's happening. I hate to miss special events just because they're not on aired shows, especially if you're paying the $35 premium. The Tuesday shows on the 18th is again main evented by Michael Oku, this time defending his undisputed British heavyweight champion versus Angel de Oro. We also got Vaquer and Zuexis defending their CMLL World Women's Tag Team Championships versus Tessa and LLuvia. Those are the main two matches of note. Guadalajara is main evented by Mistico versus Volador Jr. and kicks off the Mistico 20th anniversary run of shows. Los Infernals versus Los Guerreros again. Also the dream team of Templario, Soberano Jr. and Hechicero in the semi-main. Friday, the June 21st show is Fantastica Mania Mexico / Mistico's 20th anniversary show. Great show from top to bottom. Really not going to read off this whole card. Not really a bad match in the bunch, and the main event was fantastic. La Catalina had surgery just after this show, where she had a great match. Here's hoping for a speedy recovery for her. Week 3 kicks off with the Saturday, June 22nd show, which had Hechicero versus Zack Sabre Jr. Dream match. We also got Rocky and Angel Dioro Lightning match, and the Mistico Taiji Ishimori versus Hiromu Takahashi and Volador Jr. tag match. This show ended with Mistico saying Hiromu should face him in a mask versus hair match. That seems unlikely to happen, but Mistico has been planting seeds to have a Lucha de Apuestas with just about everybody. Tuesday, June 25th show have a Torneo Internacional, a 14-man elimination Torneo Cibernetico. That's the match to catch from Arena Mexico for that night, but it had a good semi-main as well with Magnus and Rugido versus Soberano and Zandoken. Guadalajara had a good top of the card as always, a Luchadora Lightning. We also had more Guerreros versus Infernals, and the Panther family versus Barbaro and some lesser-known Guadalajara guys in an Atomico. The final Friday of the month, on June 28th, had Kyle Fletcher defending his Ring of Honor TV title versus Atlantis Jr. in the main event. Rest of the card is a pretty regular card, with the other highlight being Teton and Templario versus Ultimo Guerrero and Star Jr. And the final show of the month was the June 29th Arena Coliseo Saturday show, which has Zandoken Jr. versus Euforia in a singles match, and everything else is just your basic average Saturday Coliseo show, the regular mix of trios that you'd expect from that card. Without further ado, we're going to get straight to the top 10. Starting with Michael Oku versus Angel Dioro, where Michael Oku was defending his undisputed British heavyweight championship on the June 18th Tuesday show. Dioro shows how good of a pro he is by having a classic title match with Michael Oku in the first time that I think these two have ever faced off. Michael Oku, of course, retains here. Oku wasn't even around for the whole month, but CMLL set him up for success. He had several singles matches, all of which were pretty fun. We'll talk about another one later on this top 10 as he shows up again here in a few more spots. Number 9 is Stephanie Vaquer and Zuexis defending their CMLL World Women's Tag Team Championships versus Tessa, Blanchard, and LLuvia. Stephanie and Zuexis continue to be the dynamic duo when it comes to the CMLL World Women's Tag titles. Every time Tessa gets a title shot, we pray that she doesn't win, and luckily the goddesses of CMLL continue to answer our prayers by kicking her ass and telling her to get to the back of the line once again. I do think Tessa will be shaved at some point, and I fear she may get a belt to build to an Apuestas loss. Hopefully not the CMLL World Women's title, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that she would be the person to beat Stephanie for that, only for Stephanie then to turn around and shave her and then eventually win that belt back. Number 8, Volador Jr. versus Mistico on June 18th, this time in Arena Coliseo Guadalajara. When it comes to Mistico's greatest rivals, I don't think Volador Jr. is often considered at the top of that list, but I think he should be. I've said in various places online and maybe even in one or two of my videos that Leyden de Plata 2017, where they met in the finals, and that's one of the things that really cemented my fandom for life. And the crowd for Mistico's entrance at this show was incredible, just as the Arena Mexico crowd was for the match later on this list. The whole crowd in both situations were just in awe of him and singing along with his song. Obviously a lot of fanfare for Mistico, who, without a doubt is basically the biggest luchador post the year 2000. So it's great to see his 20th anniversary special get the proper fanfare that it deserves. Number 7, Stukas vs. Soberano and Euforia in the La Copa Dynastias finals on June 19th, Sunday Arena Mexico show. This is a match that we may not have gotten to see if CMLL didn't air this Sunday show, as they normally don't air them. This was the finals for that tournament. I'm glad that they did, as the concept for the tournament being a family tag teams is so fun and something few other companies could do with a full bracket. The tournament in general was fun, but the finals is really the peak of it for me. I'm glad to see the Stuka father-son team doing so good. They were in a match in last month's top 10 as well, and during that entry I was saying I hope that we get to see Copa Dynastias, and we did, and we got to see more of them working through another series of matches in this one-night tournament. Number 6, the Torneo Cibernetico International on June 25th, Tuesday show. July has the Lane de Plata Torneos, and hopefully both of those are better than this. Those won't have all this big import talent though, and both of those brackets are going to be smaller, but there's going to be 2 of them, which are going to add up to a little more people being involved than are in this. With this being as good as it was, here's hoping that Grand Prix, which is going to be split down the national lines, Mexico versus World, will be even better. This was fun and wasn't split between national lines. We had people from Mexico on one team and from the rest of the world on one team, and then we also had Mexicans and other international talent on the other. They had a seeding battle royale, which is often how CMLL will seed these tournaments if they don't already make teams before the tournament starts. This was fun, and it's nice to have a good Torneo regardless of the month or the reason for it. So even though this isn't a big annual Torneo and there's not the fanfare that some of the other ones have, it was cool to see. Zack Sabre Jr. is a guy I really like to see, and it's cool to see him in a Torneo. New Japan Pro Wrestling doesn't really do that type of elimination, big man match, big multi-man match. On to number 5. Here, Michael Oku shows up again versus Templario. This was his debut in CMLL and happened on the Friday, June 14th show. It was the biggest match of that night. Michael Oku wasn't someone I was aware of beyond having heard his name before he showed up for this match with Templario. His match with Templario was the highlight of that Friday night show and was also, in my opinion, his best showing on this 2-week tour of CMLL. Though overall, I think he was able to keep up with the CMLL roster, which isn't easy to do considering it's the best roster on the planet right now. He went toe-to-toe with Templario, Volador Jr., and Angel Dioro. Again, CMLL really set him up for success and made him look good on his first tour with the company. Number 4, Stephanie Vaquer defending her CMLL World Women's title versus La Catalina on the June 21st Fantastica Mania Super Friday. La Catalina, as mentioned, had to get surgery soon after this match due to an ovary cyst. This is one of her most impressive matches to date, and hopefully she has a speedy recovery and can get back to action ASAP. She seems poised to be a champion sooner or later, and it's a question of which of the 4 CMLL women's titles she can get her hands on first, as well as La Catalina being impressive. Of course, Stephanie Vaquer is impressive on most of her outings. This could be considered better than the Monet match she had in AEW. I'm not really going to discuss that much here because this is a CMLL-centric video, but if you are someone who is from the outside looking in and want to find some of Stephanie Vaquer's good matches, this and the tag match already mentioned on this top 10 are good pulls, and I would recommend watching both of them. Of course, we'll always have links to the official videos on CMLL's YouTube in the description of this video, so if you want to find them, it's going to be really easy for you to find them down there. Of course, you'll have to be subbed to CMLL's YouTube, and if you're not subbed to the CMLL YouTube and you still want to watch them, you'll be able to find them somewhere, I'm sure. On to number 3, Hechicero versus Blue Panther on the June 11th Tuesday Arena Mexico show. It pains me not to put this at number 1. I relish in every Blue Panther match we get. I know that the 63-year-old legend isn't going to be around for forever, and Hechicero is the perfect foil for him. The two mesh magically, and I hope this isn't the last time CML lets those two cook. It is one of those things where singles matches in CMLL aren't necessarily rare. They have them basically every week, and a lot of times at least one a show. It's not always that they let people like Hechicero and Blue Panther have a big platform to have a fun match. Even if it is just a Tuesday show singles match, they were given a full match and not just a lightning match, and that's great. I hope we get to see them work together again. CMLL puts up monthly polls where people vote for what the best match of the month is, and this is one of the ones they chose for June, and if enough people vote for it, we will get to see it hopefully again next year. They run them back at their best of shows in January, so I'll actually put a link for that vote down below so that we can vote for that. The other matches that are higher are not on that poll, and we'll kind of go over that when we go over these next 2 matches. On to number 2, that is going to be Mistico versus Hiromu Takahashi, and that happened on the June 21st Super Friday show, which was also Fantastica Mania Mexico and Mistico's 20th anniversary show. I have a circle of Lucha Libre fans I often watch shows live with on Discord and chat about CMLL in general there. I feel like going into this match there was lots of doubts both guys or either guy would really bring their A game. I think both did here, and it led to a great main event for Fantastica Mania Mexico and Mistico's 20th anniversary show, even if the outcome was never in doubt. Of course, it's Mistico's 20th anniversary show, and it's the big one. They did 20th anniversary shows at, I think, think all of the arenas for Mistico. But obviously, this being the big one, it seemed unlikely that he was going to lose to Hiromu Takahashi. And this was not put on the best of poll that you could vote for the best matches of June of 2024 for CMLL. More than likely because Takahashi isn't someone that they can guarantee will be back in January to run this back if it were to be voted the best match of the month. Again, Mistico ended this match by, well, not this match. He had a tag match with Hiromu in Guadalajara. At the end of that, he challenged him to a hair versus mask match. That seems unlikely to happen, but the stars align, or for whatever reason, that does turn out to be the best option they can run. Maybe they would run that. Seems unlikely. I don't know if we'll see Hiromu Takahashi back in September at all, let alone in the main event of CMLL Anniversary getting shaved, but crazier things have happened. And number one, Hechicero versus Zack Sabre Jr. This happened on the June 22nd Arena Guadalajara show, which was also Fantastica Mania branded and Mistico's 20th anniversary branded. CMLL this year have been a dream match factory, and this month had two such matches, the earlier mentioned Mistico versus Hiromu Takahashi, and this. This isn't the first time Hechicero and Zack Sabre Jr. have locked up, and it won't be the last time either, with Rev Pro 12th anniversary on August 24th of this year, also announcing that these two are going to be fighting. This match was everything people wanted it to be, and the 2 out of 3 falls format allowed both guys to get submission wins for each of the first 2 rounds. Really, they gelled so well. I don't always put the consensus favorite match as the number 1 match on these monthly recaps, but this month my taste and the hype of this match matched up. Hard not to recommend this to anyone who likes wrestling, and even more so to anyone who is a fan of the love or submission style both guys are known for. So that is the top 10 for June 2024 in this edition of CMLL Monthly. With that, we're going to move on to some honorable mentions. Kyle Fletcher versus Atlantis Jr. at the end of the month, the last Friday of the month. It's cool to see Atlantis Jr. win the Ring of Honor TV title. These two just didn't mesh well, as one would hope. They didn't really have the great match that everybody's going to be talking about, as you would hope, when it's going to be one guy's debut and also a title match for an outside company's title. Feels weird not to include Villanos or Zandokan Jr. They're almost always in these top 10s, but if I did have to pick one of their matches, their match versus Cranio and Gemelos Diablo was fun on the first Friday of the month, but that match also had a scary botch with one of the Villanos. He was reported not to be hurt, so that's good. The Fantastica Mania Arena Mexico / Mistico's 20th anniversary show in Arena Mexico was a stacked show. 2 of the 6 matches on that card made my top 10, but I could see someone else including pretty much that whole card in the top 10 for the month. Persephone, Stephanie Vaquer, and Zuexis versus LLuvia, Skady, and Tessa Blanchard. That was a fun trios match for the women. Persephone fits in so well with Stephanie and Zuexis. Feel like it's only a matter of time before she's an official part of their team as a stable. Euphoria versus Enzoken Lightning match. That was an interesting pair-up. It's always fun to see Euphoria throw his weight around, and he did a good job facing the mid-card guy who's climbing up the ranks, Zandokan. Just like last month, we're going to go over the next tournament or the main big event that's happening next month. July is Lane de Plata, along with the Universal Championship tournament, which has already happened back in April. This is the major singles tournament in CMLL. It consists of middleweight and welterweight talents, as those were El Santo's weight classes. Those are the belts that he held back when he was wrestling, and Lane de Plata is a tournament in his honor. The first block on July 12th Friday's show will include Volador Jr., Mascara Dorada, Flip Gordon, Angel de Oro, Brillante Jr., Futuro, Villano Tercera Jr., and Stigma. The first half of that list has the greatest chance to win, with Futuro, Brillante Jr., and Stigma having virtually no chance of winning. Mascara Dorada and Volador Jr. are normally unbeatable, but also have both won this tournament before. Dorada just last year, and Volador Jr. in both 2017 and 2011. Angel de Oro, having never won it, might be the favorite. That's who I'd bet on, but Villano Tercera Jr. or Flip Gordon wouldn't be shocking picks either. Flip winning this block would make him only the second non-Mexican born talent to make it to the finals, the other being Jushin Thunder Liger in 2011, who lost to the aforementioned Volador Jr. in those finals. The second block, on July 19th, will include Mistico, Teton, Neon, Star Jr., Fugaz, Magia Blanca, Templario, and Virus. Again, half the field is very unlikely to win this match. I don't see Neon, Star Jr., Fugaz, Magia Blanca making it to the finals. Star Jr. won La Copa Jr. in May, and he has a little more momentum than the other three listed with him. Virus winning would be a win the fans would love, and would be a great way to give Virus something. He is a vet and has been allowed to have good matches, but never given bigger wins. Mistico, Titan, and Templario are the smart money picks. They have all won this though, Templario back in 2022, Titan back in 2021, and Mistico won in 2006, 2007, and 2008. Back in that era, the previous year's winner had a bye into the finals, so that made it easier for him to sort of retain the plata after that first year. He and Negro Cassis are the only two men to have won this 3 times. That being said, CMLL seems to be on a big Mistico kick, and teasing him surpassing Negro Cassis, even if he doesn't win the finals, makes sense. Or maybe Titan could go to the finals. When he won in 2021, CMLL was still doing limited crowds because of COVID, so his win wasn't really the same big thing that it normally would be, with the adoring fans screaming and cheering for him. So it would be cool to see him win in front of fans and get that win once again. Then on the last Friday of July, on the 26th, the winners of each block will meet. If I got what I wanted, we'd be getting Virus versus Mascaro Dorada, with Virus besting the rookie with a rocket on his back. What do I think we'll get? I think Titan and Templario, either one of those guys versus Mascaro Dorada, would be a big booking, with whoever of those 3 wins being 2-time Plata winner, so them all having sort of the same thing to strive for and go after, and putting them above the other 2 who do not win their second. I also think Mistico and Volador Jr. are hard to bet against, and would be running back the 2017 finals, which is one of my favorite matches, as I mentioned in the top 10 when we went over them facing Guadalajara back in June. That Plata and that finals from 2017 was really something that made me a big fan of CMLL and stick around. That's all we're going to cover for the upcoming month of July. So with that being said, what are your favorite matches of June? Who do you think is going to win Leiden de Plata or both the blocks? As always, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't already, check out the abridged history of Lucha Libre video I put out last week. It's 50 minutes going over the first 36 years of Lucha Libre, or EMLL, what CMLL was called before they changed their name in the early 90s. That's all for CMLL Monthly this month. See you guys in August.